Civilization or Barbarism, an Authentic Anthropology by Dr. Cheikh Anta. The documentation on Piltdown Man is unfortunately incomplete. Its extremely difficult interpretation is still doubtful on some essential points. However, one cannot ignore the fact that this discovery is extremely important and most enlightening, especially now that we know that the jawbone belongs to the same skull. This discovery tells of the existence of a man whose skull more closely resembles that of Homo sapiens, and thereby comes more directly from Homo sapiens than the Neanderthal man. His existence, though dated at a period less ancient than previously thought, is nevertheless from the lower Pleistocene period. The origins of our direct ancestors should therefore go back to the very remote past. Up to now, a certain number of discoveries without geological support and consequently with no demonstrative value have been marshaled in support of this hypothesis. The Piltdown skull, for the first time, show provides us with a well observed fact whose significance is clear and precise in spite of the uncertainties that still linger about its age. Thus, even a scholar of the caliber of Valois believed that the simian jawbone of Piltdown and the skull belonged to the same individual. Moreover, he emphasized the geological guarantees surrounding the discovery of this fossil, which had been buried by the learned forger 1.5 meters under the gravel of the Ayus River in Sussex. It was not until 1954 that another British scientist of good faith, Kenneth P. Oakley, working at the British Museum, had an idea of measuring the quantity of fluorine contained in the two pieces in order to deduce the difference in the amount. The results showed with certainty that the specimen was fake, that the jaw and skull did not belong to the same individual because they did not contain the same amount of fluorine. Oakley thus put an end to the bitter debate that had lasted for nearly 50 years over the authenticity of Piltdown Man. By the same token, he dealt, it is important to underscore this, the final blow to the theory of pre-sapiens. Furthermore, this theory had relied on pieces of two faceless skulls, Swanscombe Man, 1935 through 36, and Fontainebleau Man, 1947, specimens so unsatisfactory as one can tell from the statement by Valois quoted above that these scholars had pinned all their hopes on Piltdown Man, the only piece in this series that apparently was convincing for the following reasons. It had a complete face, the high forehead typical of Homo sapiens, without the slightest trait of the supraorbital torus so characteristic of Neanderthal man. It was more evolved than the latter, and it was indigenous to Europe, a true ancestor of Homo europus. It also of totally different extraction from the Negroid Homo sapiens, wherever it came from. Alas, this one, the Piltdown Man, turned out to be fake. The X-ray spectrometer has confirmed the hoax of Piltdown by showing evidence of traces of chromium salt that is used when applying patina to bones. The facts are even more ludicrous when one knows that several identical morphological traits were established among the fossils of Piltdown Man, Fontainebleau Man, and Swanscombe Man. Resemblances with the skull of Piltdown, demonstrated by Cheikh, appear, on the contrary, to have been retained. The English author had concluded from them that Swanscombe Man had a descendant of Piltdown Man, more evolved toward Homo sapiens. This hypothesis is incorrect because we know that Swanscombe Man is older. Kinship between two is nonetheless evident. Concerning the fossil of Fontéchevade man, the same authors, Boulay and Vallot, write, the foreheads of Fontéchevade men were like those of modern men and were totally different from that of Neanderthal man. Here again, there is a marked resemblance with Piltdown man because the piece of the forehead corresponding to the second find at this site is also lacking a protuberance, and its profile is almost exactly congruent with that of Fontéchevade piece. In reality, the modern characteristics of this fossil were merely imagined by these scholars rather than being genuine morphological traits as pointed out by Bernard van der Meesch. The piece discovered in the cave of Fontéchevade man in Charente is represented by one of the cranial arch of the morphology of which, according to Valois, is more modern than that of contemporaneous fossils, particularly in the area of the forehead. Unfortunately, it is very incomplete and does not have a characteristic structure. The modern characteristics set forth are not the result then of direct observations, but are inferred from the proposed reconstruction and have often been contested. And I will stop there and we'll continue. I'm Uriel Riley. This is Civilization or Barbarism.